So why don't you introduce everybody in the studio who you brought to have this discussion?
Well, I brought, for those of you that saw the Alex Jones podcast, David Weiss was the flat earth expert. And he was basically going back and forth with Alex Jones. You know, Alex Jones is not a flat earther, but he's obsessed with Antarctica right now. So, he texts me the next day and goes, "Eddie Bravo, you're right. All pictures of space are fake. God damn it, you're right." So it takes a while. It takes 2 years, 18 months to finally admit it. You're going to keep it inside. You're not going to tell anybody, but you're going to have questions. And Alex Jones is on his way. Owen Schroyer, he's not married to the ball. He admitted that live on air. He's like, when you say you're not married to the ball, you're on your way. You never turn around and come back. No one ever comes back from flat earth. But Zach Waldman, the guest here tonight, say hello. Say hello.
Hello.
He was my co-host, and he was. I don't know where he's at exactly right now with conspiracy theorists, but he was basically a skeptic, like a non-conspiracy theorist. So we had a bunch of arguments and stuff like on Tower 7 on air. They got so heated that I'd apologize to him like the next day. And I'd be like, "Zach, I love you." I'd give him hugs. I'm like, "Sorry about that," but I get emotional and shit about Tower 7. But I figured I love Zach.
For the record, none of that ever hurt my feelings. It was always when my jiu-jitsu came into question. That's when I got.
Oh, when you start getting personal and your guard sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we get into Zach, I just want to get into.
Hold on one sec. Let me just finish what I was going to say. The reason I'm bringing Zach in is instead of having David on with XG, because XG's he's not married to the ball, and Sam, you're not married to the ball, so we would just be, I wanted to bring in someone to ask questions and a nice friendly debate. We don't want to get it to start arguing.
Yeah, we're just here to have a conversation.
Yeah, and I thought, who better than Zach Waldman, my former co-host, and I asked him to do the show, and of course he's here, and I asked him
with
to
questions.
Yeah, I go bring all the questions.
Questions.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited about this. I think it's important. I think people love these this show. I'm going to do more of this. I know this isn't going to be a debate because Zach's not here to argue for the ball. He's asking questions.
I am absolutely not going to debate. See, first of all, I'm here basically for the link to my website in the description of the video.
Okay.
And after 12 years of knowing Sam, hoping that maybe one day he'll remember my last name.
God damn it, Zach!
No real scientist would debate a flat earther because, well, first, it gives them credibility. That's what they always say, right? I don't want to give this person any kind of credibility by debating them. The second thing is there's really nothing to debate. It's an insane amount of nonsense. That being said, I will be nice, will not debate, and do have a list of questions that I know that people would love to ask you.
Dave, what was it exactly that made you think that maybe this thing we're on is flat?
The sound of a cash register ringing when it gets
the number one thing, which is a lot to discuss, is water always lays flat and we can see too far. So, you'll look across and you'll see the bottoms and some buildings missing, and a glober will say, "Oh, that's because of curvature." And I used to say the same thing because I was a glober. But then the next day, the weather would change a little bit and you could see less of the building or you can see more of the building. So that tells you it's not curvature. It's an atmospheric effect. There's been countless. There's hundreds. I can't even count them. There's thousands of videos where we do the curvature calculation. We put the cameras, we calculate the height of the camera, and we can see things so far that should be a mile below the horizon, and we can see them. They're there. So, you can't say refraction's doing that. You can argue about it all day long. We can see too far. That's the number one thing.
One thing for sure is like you always hear, and then we'll let Zach ask his encyclopedia of questions here. Like, are you here trying to find out if the Earth is flat or solve a murder? How many questions do you have for this guy?
Get the Mueller report.
But here's the thing. Always people are like, dude, you can see it on a plane. So every time I'm on a plane, I go to the camera, I put out the window, and I take a picture, and you see no curve ever. I do it every time. I'm not a flat earther. I'm open-minded to everything. The reason I say that is because I'm just saying to everybody who just says, you can see it when you're in a plane. You can't. You can't see it.
Let me give you a couple things about an airplane. One, the window's curved. Okay, that gives you a slight curve. You'll see a curve when you're on the runway if you can see far enough into the distance. The other thing is you see in a circle. So let's say you have nothing obstructing your view. You see X distance at 12 o'clock in front of you. The same distance at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That draws a circle around you. So your horizon is a circle, but a flat circle, like your head inside of a hula hoop and you're seeing the edge of the hula hoop. That's not a sphere. That's just the circle of your vision. And everything squeezes down into that circle. And it has to do with the angle of your view and the angular size of things that we see. So, you know the mirage that you see on a street in the summer, or especially over water. So if I'm standing at the water's edge and I'm looking, a couple feet out, I'm looking down at a 45-degree angle. So I see that clearly. But as I look farther, that horizon rises and rises and rises until that angle is so little that it turns into a mirage. It's kind of like a ramp of a mirage, and when something goes into that ramp, it disappears from the bottom up. It's that simple. You can see it, you can prove it, but the problem is you can see those things way beyond where they're supposed to be. A 6-foot person standing on the edge of the water should have the horizon 3 miles away, because there's 6 feet of drop in 3 miles, according to a 24,901 mile around ball.
Really?
Okay? The problem is we can put the camera inches above the water. We can see a point of land that's 5 miles away, and we can see water beyond that land. Okay? Game over.
Yeah.
Earth is flat. There's no curvature.
Okay. So, Zach, what I want to ask you is a question you had where you made a joke about it, but and I know you were only joking, but it's a real question. Do you think there's a lot of money in being a flat earther?
He has a nice house. Do you have health insurance, Dave?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have that. Yeah, he has a nice house and health, and yeah, he's doing fine off this. He's
But
cashing
how
in.
do you know?
Actually, I don't. I didn't want to admit it, though.
So we don't know if Dave has all, and we're not here to get
And
into
he
Dave's
could be renting
finances.
his house. That's true. You
And he
never know.
could have multiple other things that are going on. A lot of times people with this show go to me, "Oh, you're just here for money." Well, I mean, like, dude, to be honest with you, man, I mean, the money that's made in this is like T-shirts. We're doing fine on the road, but it's not fuck you money. I'm blessed that it's happening. I mean, I'm blessed that it's happening. But the notion that I got into this for like money and cash and all that, I'm lucky it got here.
You're a stand-up comedian.
I'm loyal to the
I would
foil.
never.
I've been catching up on your shows. I've been slacking behind because there's so much content out there. But you, to me, come off as a guy that just wants to get the truth out there, and you have that fuck you attitude. I don't care.
Yeah.
You just want it out no matter what. And you know what? If you're doing this full time, you deserve to be compensated. People pay for $100 plus a month for their stupid cable, and then they'll devour other people's content for free and go, "Oh, you should do this for free." They're full of it.
Yeah.
First of all, I obviously think you should get paid. Also, you're primarily a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And this is just and you and I politically almost always agree. When I see your tweets and stuff, I'm like, I'm right there with them. I left the Democratic Party a couple of years back. I belong to no party anymore because I think
Ronin, dog.
I think it's all bullshit. I think it's all the same. Like you, I'm for the Second Amendment. I'm for the right to bear arms, and I'm also for a woman's right to choose whether or not she has an abortion. Those are two different sides, but there's no party for.
Sounds like a liberal to me because that's what liberalism is.
That's what it used to be.
That's what it is,
well,
man.
we have a language
I didn't
issue
mean to yell
now.
at you
No,
like
you're
that.
good.
That was me agreeing with
No,
you.
I'm
That's
right
what
there
it
with
is.
you. But we have a real problem with language these days because, like the word conspiracy. The word conspiracy has come to mean Bigfoot, UFOs, flat Earth, but there are real conspiracies like
Right.
Gulf of Tonkin. And the word itself,
9/11,
a group of
assassination
people getting
JFK.
together and conspiring to do something. We know that conspiracies exist. So I think that's a bit of a problem. Same thing with the liberal thing. I've heard you say I'm an old school liberal, and the way you described that, that's describing me.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened now with the extreme left, where they're
It's
the
done on
ones shutting
purpose,
down, where they're the language police. And
The DNC is throwing the fight. What that means about Trump, I don't know. here's my thing about Trump, and then we'll get back into flat Earth. It's like, hey, dude, you know, I am somebody who has a visceral reaction to supporting a man who's in a position of that tends to be war criminal shit. But I've seen over time what's going on. Now, mobs sometimes work together. Mobs sometimes don't work together. Sometimes the Italian mob works with the Russian mob, and sometimes mobs go at each other. So what was my point? Maybe Trump represents a different mob, and the DNC and the Hillary Obama group is another mob, and they're in a war right now.
Right.
So I'm not saying Trump is a water walker, not at all. But I mean, if I had to sit there and pick between Hillary and Trump, to this day, still Trump 1,000 times.
I still don't think there's a difference.
Yeah.
I think,
and that's perfectly fine. I think there's a huge difference, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean I think Trump is an angel, and we shouldn't question everything.
But this started because of the money thing. So taking it full circle, I don't think you're doing this for the money, but I think Dave is.
Okay.
I mean, he obviously has disposable income. How else could you explain that hat?
So much money. It's absolutely insane. I'm going to a conference, the Flat Earth International Conference on November 14th and 15th in Texas. And I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars I've put into I'm doing a live experiment there. This is the biggest losing money proposition ever. I do this because I want a world where my kids can live. I want people to know where they live, who they are, what they are,
do you have
and
kids?
the incredible place that we live. I didn't get into it for that. People say, "Yo, just want to feel special." You know,
yeah, it's
we are
crazy.
special, but that's not why I got into this. I got into this because it's the friggin' truth.
Because you hate getting
that's all I
lied
want.
to.
I'm not married to it, but I can guarantee you there's nothing that will convince me that we live on a spinning ball. I'd love to see it, but it doesn't exist. I'm open to it, but I know it's not out there.
Hey, so I think you're like me and probably Eddie and XG and probably Zach too.
Money.
Is
that is the biggest joke ever? I'm sorry.
It's like you just hate getting lied to. I think that's my biggest thing. Is like I hate getting lied to, and I'm an adult man. And I don't like that you're lying to me, and I don't like that you're selling out this future of everybody.
Not only is there no money in Flat Earth, but there's even less pussy, dude. There's no pussy in Flat Earth. Never bring up Flat Earth on our first date.
That really is a good point.
Anytime I make a little bit of money, I give it to other flat earthers that are broke.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I fund experiments. I do whatever I can to get more truth out there.
Hey, man, I respect you for that. And people, the laughability, like we want attention or something like that, it's like, I just want to live in a better place.
Though.
No, but Flat Earth is no different than believing in Pizzagate, believing in Hillary's a fucking crime syndicate, believing in Anunnaki, believing in, like, the assassinated JFK. They're all just outside the realm of... Eddie's convinced me there's no such thing as nuclear weapons. And, like, the more and more I study it, I'm like, he's totally correct. Go on, Dave, sorry.
Sam, no problem. I'm just interrupting you as much as I can. Sorry. Gun to your head right now, flat or globe. Gun to your head. 3, 2,
Simulation.
1. Boom, you're dead.
You're dead. You're dead.
I can tell you never took improv classes. You never make a gun like that in improv. It's always right, Sam. You got a yes
like
and
you
got to giggle like this. You got to
all
continue.
Right, so get to it.
All right, here we go, Dave. Okay, first one, and like I said, I'm not going to debate. I'm just going to ask. I'm going to ask the questions
the
of the
answer
internet.
I can.
Yeah, because there's a million. Okay, what about lunar eclipses? That's the question. Lunar eclipses. Explain that.
So let me back into that a little bit. The only thing that we can accurately say about any of the luminaries in the sky, which are the stars, the suns, even the International Space Station that we see lit up brighter than a star, is that they're lights in the sky. We don't know what they are. Nobody knows how far they are. Nobody knows how big they are. If you tried to find how they figured out that the sun is 93 million miles away, there's no one taking claim for it. There's no mathematical formula. There's nothing. The only explanation you get is that Venus transiting the sun, they viewed it from 2 different places on Earth, and with the presumed size of Venus and the presumed curve of the Earth, they figured out how far away the sun was. It's nonsense. It's utter math magic nonsense. So how do you explain the moon? Well, I'll tell you what. We don't know, but what we do know is the lunar eclipse is not caused by the Earth. We're told that you got the moon and you got the sun, and then the round Earth, the spherical Earth comes in, and only a sphere can make that curved shadow. Well, that is 100% false. Only a sphere cannot make that curved shadow on another sphere. You get a sphere, get a single source light and another sphere, and as you bring that in to eclipse the light, it'll start out as a long parabola, and then it'll morph into a circle, and then it'll leave as a long parabola, right? If you take a book, a straight edge, and I'm not saying that the Earth is a straight edge and causing this, and you put it, eclipse the moon, you'll see that exact curve that we see during a lunar eclipse. The other thing is, think about this geometrically. You got the moon here, you got the sun's over here, and the Earth is supposedly coming into it, right? You would see the shadow come in from the bottom of the moon, right? But there's been over 51 this past year Seleninian eclipses where the observer who's standing on the top of the Earth can see the sun and the moon above the horizon, which means that the Earth is not in the middle yet, and then the eclipse started and it came in from the top. What that tells us is one thing. It's not the Earth that's causing that shadow. And I've never seen a solid object cause a red shadow. They say it's the atmosphere and stuff. It's coming in from the wrong direction. It's coming in when they're not aligned. It's nonsense. Now, what is it? There's lots of speculation. The dark bodies up there. Don't know. Not up there. Can't prove it. But what we can prove, it's not the definite. That's not the explanation they gave us. Sorry
Dave,
for rambling.
No, it's great. That's what you're here for, to ramble. Dave,
right.
when we were on Alex Jones said, I used to, as a child, I would look at a telescope and I would see the moons of Venus and Saturn. I go, in my head, I go, I don't think that's possible to actually see through a telescope the moons of Saturn and Venus. I mean, I always
you can.
think about...
And actually, the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, you can see with a pair of binoculars. But they say that they're moons. They say that Jupiter is a gas giant, right? A planet, and it has these moons going around it. What we do see is we see a bright light, and we see other small lights that are around it. Okay, we don't know what those are. If you look up, there's some famous footage of an eclipse, a solar eclipse happening here, filmed from an airplane, and just during the eclipse, it got dark enough to see that there was 7 other bodies around the sun. Nobody knows what they are. People saying, oh, they're lens flares. They're not. They're proven not to be lens flares. There's all sorts of stuff up there. My personal opinion is there's nothing physical up there. There's nothing. All those lights that we see are pulsating orbs of energy beyond what I have the ability or the words to describe.
Could it be that it's, I know it's going to sound new, the filament? Is that what it's called?
Firmament.
Filament?
Firmament.
Firmament.
Still there?
Okay, the firmament. Can you hear us? Yeah, we can hear you, dude.
Yeah, what about the firmament?
Could it be that that's what's making us so we can't see these things perfectly, that they're just kind of these energy pulses? Is that possible?
Yeah, so I on my YouTube channel, DITRH, which is the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, I have an eclipse playlist, and one way that we can see the eclipse, and my theory, I can't prove this, but I can show it, I can demonstrate it, is the sun that we see is shining on or into the dome, into our called personal atmospheric dome. So we'll see the sun and moon in a unique position, and I can actually prove this. So if you and I are standing on the beach a mile apart and the sun is setting, you're going to see the sun walking on the water right to your feet, and I'm going to see the sun walking on the water to my feet, but you can't see mine and I can't see yours, and we see the sun in 2 different positions. This is because the sun is above or inside of the firmament, depending on how you want to look at it. And
really?
it's lighting right on us. It's reflecting. If you get a glass dome or just a glass bowl or whatever, turn it upside down and hold a light above it, you'll see a sun within it. It's amazing. And if you make it go across, you'll watch that sun rise and set and then disappear right at the horizon. These are explanations of what's going on. I believe that space is not described. It's not a vacuum. I believe that there is a dome, and a dome is the strongest shape in the universe, or strongest shape. A dome, can divide the waters from the waters. So I believe that we are in this realm, in this bubble, and I don't know how big it is. I don't know how far it goes beyond Antarctica.
That's incredible. Zach?
Oh boy. All right. I know you have answers prepared for all of these things, but I got to do this.
I don't have anything prepared. I'm just
no.
speaking
I'm just
truth.
saying you've talked about this a million times, so you've heard these questions before, but I got to ask them anyway. So here's a basic
Please.
one: is the ship sailing off and the mast sinking?
Oh, that's the
So
easiest one.
go ahead.
Oh my God.
Well, like I said, I know this is flat Earth.
that one's
101.
yeah,
so go ahead and
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So-
easy.
Unless
So
you don't want to
our
bother, unless you think anybody
optics have
watching
outgrown
this
their
is
lot.
already,
No. I'll get you. This has to do with angular resolution, atmospheric density, a whole bunch of things. But the one that we all saw in school with the triple-masted ship, if you watch that again, there's 5 different cuts in it where they move the level of the camera. They keep moving the camera down, which makes the ship disappear more.
Wait.
And it was
real,
a very
real
rough.
quick.
Hold
I
on.
never
Let me
saw the
just
one
finish.
you're
Let
talking
me just
about.
finish.
Let me just ask you, what about the one? I don't know the video you're talking about. I never saw that film in school. What about, there's a guy on YouTube that films a cruise ship, a very big cruise
Yep.
ship. That one I
And it
actually
disappears
saw.
from the bottom up.
So
Right.
talk about that one instead,
I'm
since
going to
I actually
explain
saw
it.
that one.
It's so
I'm
easy.
going to
It's so
explain that.
easy.
So.
That's the easiest one ever.
So this is a little longer. I'm going to keep it as short as I can. If I held a 8-foot 2x4 sideways right in front of your eyes, it's going to cover 180 degrees of your vision. So its angular size is 180 degrees. And then if I walk 50 yards away, it's only going to be this much of your vision, right? So it's going to be 5 degrees of your vision or whatever. And I can keep going away until that gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it's 0.02 degrees. Then it's invisible because your eye can't resolve it at that side. That's called the angular resolution limit of your eye. So we did this experiment in a Home Depot. Perfectly smooth floor, long friggin' floor. And we put the camera right down on the floor with the lens close to the floor. And we put a brick right in front of it, filled the whole camera. Then we slid the brick farther and farther away, and there's a point where the angular size of that brick is less than 0.02 degrees, and the camera cannot see it. You with me? You can trust me on this. Verify yourself afterwards. So now we have the camera on the floor. It can't see the brick because it's gone. It's miraging a little bit because the floor is shiny, but you can't see it because of the angular size. If I stacked 3 bricks on top of that brick, would the camera be able to see those 3 bricks?
Yes.
Answer, of course, because the angular sides got bigger, but the bottom brick is missing. So as I slide it away, the second brick will disappear. Things disappear from the bottom up. Now, the angular size, if that's the only reason it's disappearing, break out your P900, your P1000 camera, zoom in, and the entire thing is there again. Then, we're going into mirage. If you have a wave in the foreground, if that wave is a millimeter above your eye line, that's going to take out an entire city in the distance because the city's getting smaller and smaller. That wave's bigger. Draw a line from your eye across anything that's taller than your eye. It's going to slope up, and anything below that slope is gone. So when you think you're looking straight, like if I'm looking at clouds directly above me, I got to look like this. They're way up there. But 25 miles away, those clouds are touching the horizon, not due to curvature. They're just 25 miles away. That's only, 300, 400 feet of curvature. They're touching the horizon. So if I drew a line from my eyes to that cloud, I would see that line paralleling the water, reaching that far cloud. But if you were standing under that cloud 25 miles away and could see the line, you would see the line coming from 10,000 feet, sloping down to my eyes. Which one of those is correct?
You know what's so
They're both
interesting?
Well, hold on. The real simple, if you want to simplify it, is you're talking about standing, like you're standing on the shore, you see a boat, and it disappears from the bottom up, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Zoom in, and there it is again.
So basically, you're saying that it's disappearing around the curve, right? Right. So if something disappears around the curve or a corner, would you be able to zoom in on it? No, right? because it's around a curve. You can't.
but you
no,
can't-
hold on. Just this is the thing when we in comment. You know what? He can give a straight answer. If something disappears over a curve, can you zoom in on it?
Yes.
How is that possible if there's a curve in the way?
Because what you're describing is what your naked eye can see, which is only so far, and then when you zoom in, you can see more of it, and eventually it's going to disappear again.
No, it only disappears because now
But
the
it's
zoom,
going-
the zoom level, you don't have the proper zoom level, but you can keep bringing it back in. So saying that a ship
But you can't
disappears
keep-
over the
but
horizon.
That's not true. You can't keep bringing it back in. Eventually, you won't be able to.
So here we go.
Right,
Here we
because
go.
of
Here it is.
atmospheric
Hold on a
density,
second.
because
Here it is.
because the light
So if we have the
reflecting
ship-
off the
hold on,
ship
Dave, real
can't
quick.
make
Hold
it
one
all the way
second.
to you.
Hold 1 second. So we have this ship right here, right? If the ship moves, right, and it's down here, if I'm here and I zoom in, I can't see down to there, right?
You are absolutely correct, but that's not what they're saying.
But that's how it all works, though. That's all. So it's just.
I know that's
you
the
have
claim.
No,
But again,
no.
I'm not supposed to argue,
Okay.
so I'm supposed to just ask questions.
No, we're here to argue.
If you could, if you could bring
Let me
it
go
back
back
with
to
the
the
zoom,
very
then it
beginning.
didn't go over the curve.
But you can't.
You can't.
You claim that you can.
You
but
can watch it
can't.
on YouTube. You watch it on YouTube all day. All day. There's 1,000 videos of it.
So I bought a P1000 to disprove it, and it proved it. Here's the other thing is, well, as I said in the beginning, that ship disappearing, you're claiming it's curvature. That ship should have disappeared way longer before if it was due to curvature. It's gone way past where it should have disappeared. You're not doing the math.
Yeah, based
being
on a
lazy.
ball that's 25,000 miles in circumference. There's a formula to
know,
that.
I've heard
At
of the
100 miles, there should be 6,000 feet of curvature.
know you've
So
seen
you
the
shouldn't be able to see anything 100 miles away.
Right. Okay.
Right?
So
That's the problem.
Okay. Here's the other question: if the Earth is flat, how come we don't see bright lights from faraway cities?
I can answer
Okay.
that.
I know that's what you're here for. Go ahead. I'll sit back.
All right, so and this is the problem. In school, they teach us to memorize and regurgitate. I'm going to ask you to think. Do you know what the inverse square law of light is? You can say no. Most people
No,
don't.
I do not.
I didn't know it before I became a flat earther. Every time, if you have a bright light and you half the distance to it, it becomes 4 times brighter. If you half that distance again, it's 4 times brighter, which is 16 times brighter. And it keeps on quadrupling, and the same
Actually,
in reverse.
funny enough, I actually
So-
did know this, and I forgot because when you're growing weed, that's why you got to get the lights as close to the tops of the
You
plants
got to
as you
get
can.
them to right because it makes a
Yeah.
huge difference.
Otherwise,
'cause
they'll
the inverse
stretch.
square law. So lights will disappear very quickly. Like if you look at the moon, for example, the moon, a full moon on a clear night. Let's say it's 1 lux. I believe it's 1 lux, which is a measurement of light. If you say, all right, the sun is a certain brightness. It's 93 million miles away. If you actually do the calculations on the moon on its distance and it being 1 lux, when the astronauts were there, it should have been like 1 trillion luxes, which is brighter than the sun. But it wasn't. It was a dusty, dirty ball when they're there. So none of that works. None of that works because if you half the distance of the moon, it should be 2 luxes, and then half that distance 4. By the time you got to a mile away, it should be 1 million, or when you're going to the moon. I mean, so if you take the time and do the math, none of
see
it
what
works.
you're
So that's why you
saying.
can't see it. And then a light, you can't see a light at 500 feet away. A light disappears. Imagine standing in front of a car light right there. It's blinding you. Move the car 500 yards away, you're not even going to notice the light. And then keep going, and add atmosphere. It's just gonna twink out.
All right.
Okay.
Well, related to that, then this is another one that's sort of related to that. Why can't you see Kawakini from the peak of Mauna Kea? They're 303 miles apart, 13,800 feet above sea level at the peak of Mauna Kea. So you can clearly
Yes.
see 303 miles away with binoculars or
No.
a telescope. And so
can't.
how come you can't?
You can't.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll explain why you can. I'm sorry for interrupting. I get
No,
a little
you're
excited.
fine.
I'm
It's
gonna
all
calm
right.
down.
No, you're fine.
We have. You look at pictures of mountain ranges that you can see mountain after mountain after mountain. The first one's bright and vibrant color. The next one's darker and then grayer, and then eventually it just turns into sky. There's more mountains there, but it's sky because you can't see it. Now we've gotten infrared cameras. There's a channel, Jay Tolan Media. He's been taking infrared cameras. He's seeing things at 1,000 miles away. He's seeing things that are impossible because it can cut through that haze. I was in an island down in the Caribbean, and I took out my camera and I saw St. Croix, which was over 50 miles away. I can see the entire thing down to the beach line. 50 miles away. What's the curvature on that, Eddie? I shouldn't have seen the tops of the highest mountains, but I was seeing the houses on the shore. That's the problem. The other problem with seeing great distances is things get very small where the angular size, why can't I see Spain from America? Because the angular size of Spain is so small you can't see it. But the thickness of the atmosphere, even a zoom camera, unless you put on infrared, can only go so far, and infrared can only go so far. So that's the reason, and it's a valid point.
I mean, it's just at a certain distance, it's just going to be too far to see.
Yeah, but it's the mainstream science is telling us that we're on a ball that's 25,000 miles in circumference, 24,000 something. That's what they're saying. So based on that, there's a formula to calculate curvature, and it's not panning out. You shouldn't be able to see in the ocean. Now, on land, there's mountains, valleys. It's hard to calculate proper curvature on land. But in the ocean, that should be exact. In the ocean, in the middle of the ocean, and it's a fact that Navy battleships target other ships from 80 miles to 100 miles in the middle of the ocean. They take pictures of other ships, laser pointers, and there should be 6,000 feet of curvature. They shouldn't be able to see something 100 miles away based on a ball that's 25,000 miles in circumference.
Let me ask you this.
That's
how come everything...
Well, let me, before we go to the next topic, there's in Illusion, France, you can see Canigou Mountain 2 days a year. At sunset, it's like 273 miles away. But when the sun is setting, the sun goes beyond it, and it knocks out part of the sun, and you can see it. The mountain is invisible, but when the sun goes behind it and starts getting eclipsed by it, the mountain, you can see the shape of the mountain on the sun. So that proves right there that you can't see the light reflecting off the mountain, but the power of the sun can make it to your eyes, and it's knocking out what you're seeing there.
Let me ask you this: how come everything that we have works? Like technologically, my satellite
everything works.
My satellite radio works. All these things.
This connection doesn't work.
This connection.
Yeah, what about this connection?
Yeah, if the Earth was flat, it would work better. It'd be less interference.
The Sirius satellite doesn't work once you're 200 miles offshore, or even less, unless you're flying over other land bases. The Sirius satellite does not work over the Amazon. It doesn't work on the way to Hawaii. And they say it's for contractual reasons. It's nonsense. It's a ground-based system. That's it.
That's just one example. I'm saying we have a lot of technology, and it's all based...
Be specific. Like what?
Computers, cell phone, rocket ships, space shuttle.
All landline, cell towers.
The space shuttle? What about I've seen the space shuttle take off in person. What's that?
But did you see the space shuttle in space?
I watched it.
Yeah.
I watched it take off. I know it's real.
Did you? Yeah, no, it's real. Space shuttle's real. It's a high altitude airplane. That's all it is. It's not going into space.
Well, it goes into orbit. It doesn't.
You don't know that.
You technically don't know.
You know it takes off and it lands. That's all we know.
I understand what you're saying, but technically.
Okay. Anyway, that was it. Just seems that we have things. It seems like we used to live in caves and draw on walls, and now we have cell phones, computers, medicine, all of these things that came from science. I'm sorry, you're breaking up there.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yep.
So science can exist on a flat Earth. You don't use science and say, just because the world is hypnotized and thinks they live on a ball.
But how are people coming up with things? What I'm saying is somebody
that has nothing to do with the shape of the world.
Sure it does.
We believe in science. Is there pseudoscience?
Sirius XM.
Does pseudoscience exist?
Absolutely.
Does real science exist?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody loves, if it's real, then it exists. But there's fake science out there.
But Sirius is a private company, so when they decided to launch satellites into the
Did you see them launch satellites?
Yeah, but how high? Listen, I'm just sitting here going, okay, how can this be explained? How high are the satellites? That's just
But you can look at them in a telescope. You can pick up. You get an app on your phone that tells you where they are and when
the
they're
app
passing.
tells you, but who owns
And
the
then you
app?
open it, and you take out a telescope, and then you see it. You go, oh, there's the fucking satellite. I'm looking at
Well,
it.
how do you know?
Your naked eye. You can see them with your naked eye. Let me explain the ridiculousness of satellites. Okay, we believe that satellites are falling around the Earth, and they happen to fall at the same rate as the Earth is curving. Okay, and that's how they stay up in space. That's the official story of a satellite. It's utter nonsense. Okay, you ever stand underneath a 747? They're gigantic. You've been on them, they're big, but when you're really outside them, you can see how big they are. You put a 747 up to cruising altitude, 35,000 feet, around 7 miles. It's the size of a pencil eraser held at arm's length, right? Mm-hmm. It's tiny, and it's grayed out because you can barely see the color on it because it's so much atmosphere you're looking away, right? So it reduced from this 100-yard gigantic beast to a tiny dot in the sky. If I doubled that height, do you think you could still see it? Of course not. The angular size has gotten so small, it's ridiculous. And the distance, the amount of light coming off of it, forget it. The space shuttle is about the same size. The International Space Station is about the same size, and it's 50 times as far. And we can see it with our naked eye, and it's brighter than any star in the sky. That makes no sense. Okay? That makes absolutely no sense.
Okay,
and then satellites are allegedly between the size of a small car and a bus. Okay, they're at these ridiculous heights, and we can see them with our naked eye. It's nonsense. NASA's the biggest user of helium. They put up thousands of balloons with satellites on them. There's hundreds of videos of them crashing all around the Earth. Any satellites that are up there are hanging from balloons.
What? Wow.
Explain time zones.
Let's pull that up.
I'm just going down my list of questions.
What website can we look at right now that shows satellites on balloons, on helium balloons?
If you just look look up satellite launch balloon Antarctica. And,
you don't think there's NASA's launching satellites with helium balloons?
I don't.
It's totally true, dude. I'm asking for you. I already know all this, dude. They crash. They crash everywhere.
You guys have like a PhD in bullshit. It's fucking amazing. It's like if you were gonna just memorize tons of nonsense, why not just go to church or temple or something? This feels like a religion. It feels like we always have. Okay, yes. What is your question?
So my point is, condemnation without investigation is a sign of indoctrination.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm against condoms
How
too.
fast is your globe Earth spinning?
What's that?
How fast is the globe Earth spinning?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to Google it. I don't know.
Stop. You have to remember, you're here defending the ball and attacking flat Earth.
And you don't know shit.
Is the Earth
you have no idea what the circumference of the sphere, the Earth is, right?
I have to Google it.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
I can't name every state in the United States. I'm not
exactly.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of shit I don't know.
You don't know. You don't even know how big this ball is, and you're defending it. And you don't even know how fast it spins, yet you defend it. That's indoctrination. Don't you realize that's indoctrination?
Because I don't have all of these numbers memorized. I don't know the speed of light.
You're defending it, and you don't know anything about it.
I don't know how many feet are in a mile.
You're defending it, and you don't know anything about
it. I can't convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. There's a lot of shit.
Exactly. That's what we're saying. You don't know anything.
So I rely on people way smarter than me.
That's indoctrination.
But their stuff works. My phone works. My satellite radio works.
Your phone has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth.
But I'm saying
I love my phone too. I love my
phone based
on
science.
My phone is awesome. Does this mean, because I could get on Twitter, does that mean that we're on a ball? That's what you're saying. What about phones? What about phones? What about phones? What about phones?
I'm saying what about science?
Jesus Christ.
I'm saying what about science?
You brought up phones. You're saying what about phones?
Science.
What is that? What is the science of a phone?
What are you telling me? Real quick, Dave. Hold on. Zach, are you telling me that every single scientific study that you've heard has come out and is 100% real? Like, there's a lot of stuff. Like, let's just go into the classic that everyone brings
let me
up.
answer the question.
Cigarettes,
Let me-
right?
let me-
Cigarettes are good for you.
What about
Scientists told us
tobacco
that.
science? What about that? What about marijuana science?
I
That was
absolutely,
science.
wholeheartedly agree that there is bullshit, that people get paid off. People have an interest
Exactly.
in faking science. I'm not arguing that at all. We know that.
So if you know
we
that,
what
then
they
you
did
should
with marijuana
investigate
for
before
years.
you jump on
I mean, look,
something.
even now, look, there's still a lot of drugs that are illegal that shouldn't be.
So you're making. So what you're saying? What you're saying
No,
is
well,
correct.
let me-
You're
let me
making
answer
a
your-
fair-
Why are they illegal?
Okay, let me-
Hold on. Why are they illegal? Why are those drugs illegal? Because somebody's making money off
Absolutely.
of something.
Absolutely.
So
Fake science.
But let me answer your other question about science. Though, when
Okay.
you said, "Do I believe all science that comes out?" Two-part answer. One, I absolutely do not. We know that sometimes they lie. And part two is that here's the thing about good science that's different than this. Good science doesn't say, "Oh, we got all the answers. We figured it out." What they do is they apply a process and say, "Hey, this is what we think is going on." And then their peers try to duplicate it. And if they duplicate it and have the same success, they go, "Wow, this experiment, you could duplicate this." And we're a little bit,
But Zach-
hold on a second, we're a little bit farther down the road. We don't have all the answers, but we're farther than we were before.
He literally said he didn't know what we lived on, and that you're literally doing what you are saying. He's
Exactly.
doing.
You're
And
just
you're
like-
exactly
you're-
saying that
You're
we know
doing
all
that.
the we have all the answers. You are defending something based on science that you really don't have the information to, saying that the science is over. The debate is over.
No,
You're
I'm saying we
literally-
don't have all the answers. I'm saying science.
But you are saying you have all the answers.
No. I'm saying science doesn't have all the answers, but it's given us progress.
But based on stuff you know nothing about, those answers are correct.
You're saying that.
No.
that-
What I'm
you're
saying-
saying that science is done, that we live on a ball. You're literally saying that.
Oh, when it comes to this topic specifically,
Yes.
100% we live on a ball.
Okay, so you literally.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Wait,
you
don't know what
one
size
quick
of it is,
second.
you don't know anything
One
about
quick
it.
second. Before I say 100% we're living on a ball, hold on one second.
turn.
Hold on. You've interrupted
Dave,
enough.
we'll get you going. Hold on,
There-
Dave. Hold on.
one thing I will say, we talked about this before the show. I will say that ultimately we don't know anything. We don't even understand what consciousness is. People think dark
That's
matter.
what we're saying. Now you're agreeing with us?
So what I'm saying is we don't know what happens after we die. We don't know. There's a lot we don't know. But so far, the science that we have, good science, has done more to give us progress. What flat earther has ever invented
Hold on,
anything?
stop.
That has nothing to do with
here's
anything.
the problem with this, Zach. I no disrespect because I do love you to death. You are literally saying that this investigation has been done while you have done no investigation. Why this guy has a podcast called Flat Earth. This is what he does.
I'm saying I
He
trust
invest-
real scientists.
But you have done
That's
none
scientism.
of the
That's scientism.
science.
So
Scientists.
Scientism is science that you don't know anything about, but you believe someone else figured it out.
But
That's
this
scientism.
is what he does. This is what he does.
Why is he the one of 10 kooks, though? Why? It's like.
All right, go on, David. Go on.
I knew he would be a perfect guest. I knew he would be a perfect one. Because now we'll go off. Because you already started talking shit first, so now it's on. It's on now.
Go
I
on,
can't help
Dave, go,
myself.
go.
Go.
Shh, Dave, go.
here's the proof that of the globe that you've given so far. Science. I'm expecting physics is to come out next, but there is no science. There's been a whole bunch of tests to prove that the Earth is spinning. Every one of them failed and proved that the Earth is not spinning, but they don't teach you that in school. So I would like you to tell me any of your one science thing that proves that the Earth is a globe. Just one. And not only will I delete my podcast, delete my channel, I'll hang myself.
Will you throw
Oh,
away?
no.
I don't want you to do that. I do want you to throw that hat away, though.
Myself.
No, okay. What about
I'm
the
just so
what about the most
name one proof.
okay? What about the
One.
most obvious one, which is actual pictures that we see taken
They're all fake.
from the space station? I know. It's. I may as well put it on a
NASA
T.
says
I may
it.
as well put it on a T.
They say these
Go
are
ahead.
composites.
I'm here to ask it for the people. No. They don't
Let
say
me-
that it's a composite when
Sorry.
they're on the space station and they take a picture of Earth. They don't say that it's a composite. That's an actual picture. I know what you're talking
It's
about.
not. It's not. So if you look at there's no live space station footage. It's the whole thing with the delay. It's nonsense. And if you look at the shape and size of the continents, the curvature is all wrong, and it changes from shot to shot. None of it's real. The pictures of Earth, that's the one from 2002. Go to the blue marble one right there, and the continents are different sizes. If you look at them side by side, they're completely different sizes with the same diameter. NASA even admits they have no photos of Earth. They have pictures, they have images, and they're put them together. Robert Simmons made the blue marble, and he made it from strips of data. He added the clouds. Look at that. Look at the curve on Italy. That's impossible. Okay? These are impossible. And you wouldn't see those lights that bright. Those lights would be bright as the sun.
It's a magic trick, Zach. They're doing a magic trick on you. Those are fisheye. Those are the real pictures you see. Those are real pictures at a high altitude with a fisheye lens. That's all it is. It's super simple. That's all they are. It's a real picture. They're probably about 50,000 feet, and you could get a picture at 10,000 feet with, or even less, with a fisheye lens. They all have fisheye lens, and it gives you a curve. They're doing magic on you, Zach.
We've sent balloons up, shows a perfectly flat horizon. We've curved the image, and it looks better than NASA stuff. It looks just like that.
There's a bunch.
Why has the ice wall never been seen?
What are you talking about? There's video of it. You can watch it right now. It's all over. There's mad pictures and video of it. It's all over the place.
Just type how to jump off the flat Earth. I have a video there that has thousands of pictures and videos. But here's the thing: it's not an ice wall. It's the shoreline that surrounds the world ocean. So just picture that all the continents are islands in a big pond. And the shoreline on the outside is Antarctica. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. There's that 200-foot wall right there. Okay, go back to that picture right there. Look at that. And then that goes on for, I forget, 50, 100, 200 miles. Then there's a mountain that goes up, that's 2 miles high, that goes all the way around. It's dark, it's cold, there's no food. They don't let you bring any fuel down there. Nobody can go explore it. We don't know what's beyond that mountain. Okay? Nobody knows. Well, nobody in the public knows because they won't let us. Maybe Admiral Byrd knows. Who knows?
What's the benefit
why has nobody seen the ice wall? Because it's there. Well, here we go. What's the benefit, right?
No, I was saying, what's the benefit of lying about the shape of the Earth?
Yeah. It's, I don't, the thing is, if you saw, like, somebody literally go murder a whole bunch of people. He caught him on video. He's covered in blood. His fingerprints are on the gun. 20 different people saw him. 100 different cameras saw him. But you go, what's the motive? I guess he didn't do it. That we have so much evidence that the Earth is flat and not a spinning ball. The question of the motive is, you know what? I don't know the motive. I suspect I know, but it's only my opinion. And here's my opinion. If they can convince us that we are a random speck in a random universe in an infinite, desolate vacuum, that we are nothing, that we live on this prison planet ball where there's no more resources, we can give away our power, we can agree to their bullshit. We literally think that we're just random specks and there's no consequences for our actions, for our thoughts and what we do. That's the psyop. Because if everybody knew that where we were, who we were, what we were, and what power we had, the governments would lose all control. They'd lose control of our minds, the government, the mind control. Okay, that's why they do it. It's a way to make you powerless, right? That's why we have dinosaurs. That's why NASA exists. The sole reason NASA exists is to make you think that other people
dinosaurs?
can walk on another ball.
Here we go.
It's all part of the same story.
You don't believe in dinosaurs either?
No.
No. I believe there were giant lizards. There was possibly they were called dragons. It wasn't that long ago. There's tons of evidence. There's evidence of gigantic things on this earth. But the dinosaurs they show us, do you know that all of the dinosaurs are they find one little bone, right? And they go, oh, this was this. They've never found a dinosaur skull. Not one. None exists. Zero. Okay? They find like two little bones or a tooth, and they construct this impossible being. How did a stegosaurus mate? Okay, just look at a stegosaurus and tell me how they made it. All right, none of it. It's all nonsense. And by the way, dinosaurs didn't exist, and then some royal guy, I forget his name, he came up with the idea of dinosaurs before they ever found one. And then, like a year later to the day, they discovered the first dinosaur.
But you can go to the La Brea tar pits and watch them dig it up. I've seen them do it.
you can watch them dig up lots of things, but not the dinosaurs that they're telling you.
Explain time zones.
Very, very, very easy. The sun is close to the flat Earth. So if you, Eddie, take your light on your camera, turn on your flashlight on your camera and hold it right over the table, like 5 inches over the table, right? So imagine the table is the flat Earth. Now move it around the Earth. Keep it low. Keep it low. You got to keep it very low. And so it's a local time. It's a local light there, but it's not the sun's direct light isn't what causes daylight. So as it goes around the circle, it goes through the 24 time zones. Eddie, you could show them the app. The app shows how the time zones work. But there's two types of light that we see: sunlight, and daylight. Okay, the sun fluoresces the sky or the dome, the nitrogen that's up there that fluoresces blue. It's like a Tesla coil, and it lights up the sky. That's daylight, and then the sun is the spotlight in there. It's like a photographer with his light, his main light, and then his backlight. So that's how it works. And as it moves around, the sun is very close. The thickness of the atmosphere, the obfuscation of the atmospheric deck, blocks the light, and sunlight only goes a certain amount of distance. I have recently caught my 6th sun fade out, where I prove that the sun stops going down, hovers over the horizon as it moves away, and then it just fades out into nothingness. Okay, it does not go down. It appears to go down due to perspective, but when it gets down to the edge, if you want to see that, just go to my channel, DITRH, sun fade out videos, and you'll see how the sun just fades out into nothing.
Not that we're going to watch his video because we don't want to get dinged, but just find out his website. Let's look it up.
You married, you married, Dave?
It's my YouTube. DITRH stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole.
Dearth. Hey, Dave, are you married?
Yes.
You got kids?
We do.
Okay. Just wondering how much eye rolling. Is there a lot of eye rolling in your house, or?
No. Our kids are awake. They understand that the Earth is flat. They don't want to deal with it very much, but they're aware and they're living their lives, doing the best that they can.
Man, there really is no argument for anybody being an incel. If you could be a flat earther and have a family, no one should be an incel.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
I don't even understand what
I've been a flat earther for 5 years.
You said there's no pussy in being a flat earther. He managed to do it. But there's no excuse for being an involuntary celibate if flat earthers are getting laid and having families.
Why, are you celibate?
Fuck no. Incels.
I know, but are you one of those?
No, fuck no. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
Let me ask
I went to a rub and tug yesterday.
We're sitting here, and your attitude is that I'm insane, okay?
No,
but
actually, I think you're a good guy. By the way,
it's okay.
I don't think you're insane. I think you're in a cult.
This is ridiculous. Nothing I can say is going to change your mind. Give me one proof. Let's take turns. I'll give you flat earth proof. You give me a ball proof. We can see too far.
Okay, well, so I've been asking you a lot of questions. So here's one. I live in Santa Monica. Yeah, I got more. I live in Santa Monica. So I can, and I've done this, I could walk down, watch the sunset, and then I could walk up the tall staircase and go back up to Ocean and see it again. Explain, please.
Okay, so take my experiment with the brick and the light on the floor. On the other end of the room, we've done it with a light also. The light disappears, and you raise the camera up, and you can see the light again. It's the same thing. On a flat Earth, the higher you are, you can see things that are farther. And by the way, that only works when the sun doesn't go behind a cloud deck. It has to be a super clear day. But when the higher you are, the farther you can see on a flat Earth.
Please explain
works on both. Works on both.
The different lengths of shadows. How people could, you could have two people a couple 100 miles apart measuring the length of the sun's shadow, and they're going to get different.
Depending on where the light is, it will be the same thing. Yeah. If he does that light right there, and I'm standing here, and that light is moving around, it's going to do Look, get the light going, right? Right? I'm just going to say, if you get the light going.
Hold it above his hand. Hold it right above his hand, and you got no shadow. And then you hold your hand out, and you'll have a shadow. It's that simple. I think you're trying to get to the Aristophanes, sticks and shadows.
I'm just going down the list of questions that people have always wanted to ask flat earthers.
Yeah, I mean, like, you look at on this.
I literally just Googled questions you want to ask flat earthers, and that's right. You know what I mean? And there's some of these are my own too. I was just, but I'm trying to ask for the people. You know what I mean?
Again for you. let me answer it. So look, the thing is, they said on one day the sun is directly over here and there's no shadow. This is the Eratosthenes thing. It was actually down a well, sticks and shadows, whatever. You got two sticks, right? And then somebody 100 miles away has another one, and this one is casting a shadow that's going down, right? And that is assuming parallel rays coming in from the sun. So they're like, well, the Earth must be curved if that one's casting a shadow. Well, it's not. If I held a light right over this one, there's no shadow on this one, but now this one over here will cast a shadow because the light is going that way. Okay? So this one has a shadow, this one doesn't. Small local sun, Earth is flat.
How do you explain Saturn's shape through a telescope?
So when someone says, prove to me that your living room floor is flat, I don't look up at the lights in the sky and go, well, that one has a loop around it, therefore, my floor is a sphere. Saturn sure looks like a sphere to me. It's light. Again, it's too bright for it to be reflecting sunlight. That's utter nonsense. If you look, if NASA shows you what the sun would look like from Saturn, it's a tiny dot in the sky, like almost looks like a star that we see. So that star is lighting up Saturn so bright that we can see it with our naked eye, and it's brighter than another star. It's nonsense. Saturn is its own light. It's a very interesting one. It has appears a ring that appears to go all the way around it. No idea what it is.
What keeps the sun and moon from falling to Earth?
Because they're not physical objects. They're just lights in the sky. Don't know where their source is. It's above the firmament.
So you don't think we landed on
idea.
the moon then? I guess that goes without saying.
You think we landed on the moon?
Of course. I'm not a kook.
Fucking,
You know what?
oh
That's
my
a
God.
real litmus test. If I had known it at the beginning, I think I would have thrown in the towel.
I like you, though. You and I'll hang out with you.
Right.
How can mountains cast shadows on clouds? And related, how clouds...
Mountains cast-
Clouds.
I've never seen that before.
Oh, sure you have.
Yeah,
you
no.
Yeah, but
It's
related,
not theory talking about,
related to
and
that.
and
Wait,
that's
hold on.
Dave,
Hold on,
hold
I'm going to...
on.
But
Dave,
related,
hold on.
I'm asking, how can mountains cast shadows on clouds? And related, how can clouds be illuminated from below during sunrises and sunsets?
So there's two answers to this. As the sun, so I got a sun that's up here, all right? As it goes away, it's going to appear lower, and its light is going to be coming in sideways. But the shadow underneath the cloud, you're talking about Mount Rainier, and what that is that cloud is sticking up through the clouds, and the sun is casting a shadow on top of the clouds, and we're looking at it from the bottom, thinking that it's casting from the bottom up. But it's actually from the top down. There's a channel called P-Brain, B-R-A-N-E. His last 5 videos, he did a series on this, completely destroying that. P-Brain, Mount Rainier. Watch those, and you'll never ask that question again.
How do you explain seasons and how they're inversed in each hemisphere?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So listen to this. Now, I
It
really
does
want
make
you
perfect
to think.
sense to like. Go on.
So Eddie, do you have the? Well, I'll show you right here. So here's my app, okay? And the sun goes around those yellow lines. The inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer, and the outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. Right now, the sun is moving outwards towards the Tropic of Capricorn, and it's going to be the inner northern hemiplane, the inner Northlands, winter, because the sun is farther away from us, and it's now becoming summer in the outer land, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand.
my God.
And that's because the sun is closer to them and higher in the sky. And then it travels out there for 6 months, and then it travels back for 6 months. Here's the thing. Think about this. We're told that it's our winter because the sun is shining on our ball, and we're tilted away, so that sun is being spread over a wider area. That's what we're told. Okay, but did you know, for one, that during our summer, we're farther from the sun than we are during our winter? That's just a thing that people don't know. But they're saying it's the angle of the sun. So think about this. On the summer solstice, which is when the sun is as close to us in the north as it'll ever be, you go down to the beach at sunrise, and as soon as the sun appears on the horizon, you could feel that heat on your face. Okay, you can feel the heat blasting on your face. After a couple of minutes, it gets warmer and warmer and warmer. And that sun is at the most severe angle. It's at 90 degrees. It's working its way up higher and higher, right? So you can feel that heat at the worst possible angle, right? Then on December 21st, if you went out when the sun is at its highest point for that day, which could be 40 degrees in the sky, 50 degrees, a much more direct angle, you can't even feel the heat from the sun at a more direct angle. That completely blows away the explanation for seasons, and the sun, it just travels in between those tropics, in and out, as we observe it, as it happens. It's very simple.
Why doesn't the sun grow and shrink throughout the day?
Because that's a tougher one, but we see things through a dome. Through a dome. So if you're in the center of your personal viewing dome, as the sun comes across, it climbs up the side, it goes over, and it drops down. It actually does change size depending on the day, but depending on the weather, just a little bit. Not until it gets to the very bottom of that dome where it stops going down as the sun goes away, and it just fades out. Again, on my channel, if you go to the Personal Atmospheric Dome playlist, we've done experiments demonstrating this, recreating it, and it works perfectly.
All right, so here's one of the examples I found online was they said, imagine that you're in a vast plain with just one tree smack in the middle. If the earth were flat, your vision would extend exactly as far while standing at the base of the tree as it would when at the top of the tree. However, the farther you climb, the farther your line of sight will extend to the horizon. That's because parts of Earth that were concealed from view by its curvature are now revealed because your position has changed.
False. Works on a ball, works on a flat Earth. The higher you go on a flat Earth, the greater your viewing angle, and you can see farther.
But they're saying it's not. They're saying if the Earth were flat, your vision would extend exactly as far, whether you were at the base or the top. It wouldn't make a difference.
It's a different angle.
That's absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
Because the horizon is right to your eye
told
level.
you about that experiment.
It mirages out.
Yeah.
It mirages
Told me a
out
lot
when
of
it gets
things.
right below your eye level. And if you go up higher, that you're increasing that angle, and you can now see farther. Period.
I want to do these debate shows all the time. I love this shit.
But what about iPhones? I love that one.
And it's on my phone.
Bro, the
But his
phone.
answers are wrong, and I have answers to all of them.
It's hilarious.
I use all day.
What about cruises and tour flights that go regularly to Antarctica? People go there all the time.
So,
No, they don't.
yeah. So if you want to go to Antarctica, there's about 15 different companies, all run by the same company, right?
Oh,
It's going to cost you about 10 or 15 grand, right? They'll bring you to the edge of Antarctica. They'll show you a couple penguins. If you're lucky, they'll take you on a little tour in a couple of miles, and they'll say this is the South Pole, but it's actually just a pole stuck in the grass and the snow, and they'll bring you up. You're not allowed to explore Antarctica on your own whatsoever, no matter what. The Antarctica Treaty is in place until the year 2043, I believe, and it can't even be questioned by anybody, any corporation.
How do you explain sunsets where only half the sun is visible?
Oh, real before that. So, Rogan had that guy on who said he went across Antarctica. And I'm like, Antarctica is humongous, right?
Right.
That's like kind of saying, like, I went across America if I just went from, like, New Jersey to Florida. But I didn't explore any of this all from the coast all the way to California. Right?
So you're talking about Colin O'Brady. He supposedly pulled a 500-pound sled uphill while, like, placing his camera for cinematic shots as he's going away and coming back. And if you actually chart his tour, he literally just went across the edge of Antarctica. He went, like, from here to here, just across the edge. He never went to the interior. There was another skier that supposedly went all the way to the North Pole, and then she turned around and came back and said that she crossed Antarctica. Nobody goes south and comes back because you can't. You can only go east and west. East and west are circles around the center, clockwise and counterclockwise. North is towards the center. When you pass north, you're now going south. South is every direction away from the center, and it keeps on going until you hit Antarctica, until you hit the mountains, and then who knows what's after that.
I'm just telling you, people are like you can backpack across Antarctica. I go, dude, that's just a tiny part of this giant continent.
So is every country on the planet all in cahoots to keep this a secret? How is this grand conspiracy?
Listen, dude, here's a very interesting thing. Let's take nuclear weapons, right? I don't believe in them. I don't believe in them, okay? I mean, dude, I've been to Hiroshima, okay? Dude, I felt no radiation. I was taking a picture. According to nuclear weapons, that should be radiation for thousands of years.
That wasn't a nuclear weapon. That was an atomic bomb. It's different.
It's the same shit.
Nuclear weapons are way more destructive.
All right.
They're not the same.
Let's answer the question about the different countries, and we can get into the nukes if you want. But the way they control us is by division, divide and separate and get us fighting, right? So countries aren't at war with each other, just the leaders of these countries. We're all one, right? And it's all these divisions, country division, sports divisions, race divisions. They divide. They do everything to get us fighting with each other because that's the only thing they can do. If you look, Japan, was it Japan? No, Israel tried to land on the moon the other day. It was the most ridiculous thing. And then India, it was worse than the first Space Invaders video game. It was the dumbest thing you've ever seen.
I love that
India,
game.
when Israel was doing it, they're all there. You got the whole room. It's about to land, and then all of a sudden, we lost we lost it, and they're all like high fiving each other. Oh, we lost it! Yay!
Yeah.
It's literally the worst theater ever. Fifth graders could do a better job.
Isn't it crazy that Israel's
They're all
the
into
center
it.
of the flat Earth?
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
There's something going on there.
Jews.
I love Jews. What? How about
That's the real
How about
conspiracy.
this?
Dave and I are in this together.
Maybe
We're
you
in
guys are
cahoots.
spit roasting us. Listen, you okay? Hiroshima is an atomic bomb. What about
Or was it hydrogen?
Chernobyl?
I don't know if it was hydrogen.
What about Chernobyl? How come they're giving tours of Chernobyl? That should be radiation for everywhere.
What about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? 3 days after the bombs went off, the businesses were open, the trains were running, they were selling flowers, right? Everyone was working. It was fine. Only nobody was allowed to report on it or they go to jail except one, I believe it was New York Times reporter or something like that. It was utter nonsense. There's video of them stacking TNT at Ground Zero prior to the blast. It was just a massive TNT explosion, and all of the buildings that had fireproofing didn't get destroyed. Does that sound like an atomic bomb to you?
So you have this, once again, we have like the environment, space, nuclear weapons where giant chunks of money are made. And nobody can say they've ever seen any of this shit. Like, no one's I know has ever actually seen an iceberg fall into the ground because of global warming. No one I know has ever actually seen a fucking nuclear bomb. No one I know has actually been to space. Like, they've been to space. That I can say, I know Eddie, I know XG, and I know you. Like, nobody I know any of those things. But all those things make giant wads of money. Okay?
I had an astronaut come to my school, and she said
Do
she
you
went to
know
space.
her like on a like I know Eddie on a personal level. I know XG. I know Aaron on a personal level. I know he likes to make rough sex with his wife, hot pockets, and the St. Louis Cardinals. I know that about him. Okay? Like I had somebody visit me from somewhere. You don't know that person, man. They're all in on this crazy ass shit.
A lot of money involved. They get $18 billion. NASA gets $18 billion a year. Now, can you name one thing that over years, I'm sure it's in the trillions now or something, right?
Yeah.
You know, or something. Maybe 1 trillion over the last 20, 25
This
years.
Paris-
What have they done for humanity?
This Paris
Velcro.
climate,
Exactly.
This Paris
Exactly.
climate agreement, in which everybody's like, we got to get in on it. That Trump pulled us out of, and this is not a Trump discussion. That thing is not about saving the planet. That's about taxing people on carbon in the hopes that they will never, ever fix their carbon problem.
You know what helps the planet more than carbon credits? Planting a tree.
Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like these are all giant money grabs. But the funniest thing is about this, it's like The same people making all this money are the ones who make all this fake fucking fractional reserve banking, which is making fake money. So they're just taking in all this fake money. It's like the weirdest thing. At the end of the day, you're like, there's something deeper going on. When you take a look at like,
it's not.
Go on.
Yeah, it's not about them having the money. It's them taking the money from us. We all worship the money. We put our energy into the money, and then we give it to them willingly. Okay, we're agreeing to this stuff because we're not saying no. We're dumb, useless eaters because we believe that we live on a spinning ball flying through space and we have no significance. What's that?
Who is they?
Probably that's where it starts getting weird.
Lizard people.
Yeah. No, the elite, you can say the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, but the names that we don't even know. There are ruling elite on this planet that have been here for a way long time, and they know.
But here's the thing, Zach.
All three of you are so highly intelligent.
Yeah, I know.
Four.
No.
Well, are you a flat earther too, XG?
I'm not married to the ball.
Yeah.
But see, look at him.
I didn't realize. For some reason, XG, I didn't realize. Okay.
Here's the thing, dude. Here's the thing. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we spend our time on.
And that was
studying.
my point. Why don't you use it for something useful? If you put all of this effort into learning to, like, I don't know, animate, you could be animating your own podcast.
You don't even know how big the planet is, dude. You have no idea.
I can Google it.
But you don't know it.
Oh, Google.
You can learn anything. You can learn
Over.
anything. You could learn anything.
But my point, Zach, is like, and dude, I appreciate you coming out, and this is all love, dude.
Of course.
But it's like,
I wouldn't be here otherwise.
you know what you're doing right now is the equivalent of me
I'm standing up
coming
for
to
people.
a jujitsu class and like going, fuck that move. That move's fucking stupid. I have no clue what I'm talking about because I've studied no jujitsu.
No. An example of that would
Except
be
for when I tap Keenan Ivory Waynes. That's the
if
only
I
time
walked
I've studied.
into like some laboratory, if I went to JBL or walked into
JBL?
Boeing, JLB, JBL. JPL. Thank you. I know. I was wondering what is
He believes in all this shit he knows nothing about.
What is JBL?
He believes in so
That's
much
the
shit you know
best part.
nothing about.
What is JBL? Is that speakers?
I don't need. Yeah,
that's what I was like. What the
That's
fuck
the
is
people
that?
defend the
JPL.
No, but
non-Zionism shit.
No, but
Come
I was
on.
gonna, Jet Propulsion Labs, JPL. There you go. No, I know. I was
What is
having.
that?
Hey, man, the weed's wearing off. Can we smoke in here?
By the way, can I tell you a joke real quick
Sure.
before you get into this? A Satanist, a pedophile, a Scientologist, and a Nazi walk in the bar. What do?
What?
Invent NASA. That's who invented NASA, dude. That's who invented NASA. It's 100% true. Jack Parsons, what's his name? Von Braun, dude,
Walt
L.
Disney.
Ron Hubbard, and Walt Disney were all the founders of NASA.
All right, I
Not
got
even-
one for you.
Oh,
What does a deadhead say when the drugs wear off?
What?
Well, this band really sucks.
Yeah,
That's
that's
an-
good. That's the good
an old
deflection.
joke.
But
Thank
the
you.
point is this. The point is this, dude. And you look at the three guys that who were involved that survived. Like Jack Parsons died very early. He died very early, drug overdose. But you look at in Scientology and Disney in particular, how rich those two organizations are. And like we see it over time, man. If you play ball and you help push the fucking propaganda, they take care of you, man.
Okay, I want to put it out there right now. If anybody's watching this, I'm ready to play ball. I need some
Those
cash.
words will
I
haunt
need
you.
health insurance.
Remember
Whatever.
that? That's what Rogan said on his TV shows. They play that shit on a loop,
If
dude.
Illuminati, if you're recruiting, I'm in.
Oh, that's gonna haunt you for the rest of your life.
Rothschilds.
Oh, man.
Monsanto.
So-
I'm in.
Go on, Dave.
So far, you've come up with no proof. You've brought up stuff. I've given you good answers.
I believe. I have another question. Why is the night sky completely different in each hemisphere?
You mean the skies?
The night sky.
It's very,
Someone in the
very,
southern
very,
hemisphere
very simple.
sees the constellations look one way. Somebody in the northern hemisphere, constellations look a different way.
They're far apart. They're in a whole different part of the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, the opposite side of the planet. That's round.
No, it could be
Yeah.
flat.
You
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
dude-
you don't know anything.
No,
you don't know.
guys,
you don't know what
guys.
you're talking about.
It's very simple. Very simple. draw a smiley face and stick it up on the ceiling on the center of the table on the ceiling. You're seeing it one way, Sam's seeing it upside down. That's it. It's that simple.
If I put
Okay?
this right
The reason-
here, dude, right?
Yeah.
If I look at here, it looks one way. If I look at here, it looks another way. If I look
you're
at here,
looking
it
at it
looks
a
another
different
way. I'm not
It's
even a
upside
flat
down.
earther, dude.
That's because you're in a ball.
But it's a completely different night sky. They see a completely
No, they
different
don't.
part of the
No, hang on. No, stop. They do. Let me answer that. It's very simple. Imagine you're in a room that has recessed lighting in different patterns. They're stars, okay? Now imagine that room is 2 miles wide. It's a big, wide room. Right? You're on one side of the room. I'm on the other side of the room. We both look up. We're going to see different stars. We're not even going to be able to see each other because the floor and the ceiling are going to merge together due to perspective, and we're going to see completely different stars.
How do you explain
It's that simple.
How do you explain sunsets where only half the sun is visible? And that might be the last question.
Yeah, it's very simple because the atmospheric deck, which is even on a clear day, over distance, it becomes opaque. I call that the deck of opacity. That merges with what looks like it's the horizon, okay? But as the sun moves past that, it's very simple. The sun just moves past it, and it sets like that. And you think it's going below the ground, but it's just setting. It's just due to perspective. You've been brainwashed. We all were since we were before kindergarten. And they told us these proofs, but they told us they were facts, but they weren't facts. They were religion. And they made us believe in sticks and shadows, boats over the horizon, sun setting over the ocean, and a couple other stupid ones. They've all been destroyed beyond question. Beyond question. It's just, are you ready to look at it and realize that your entire life is a lie? That's the hardest part. People don't, it's easy to fool someone. It's difficult to convince them they were fooled.
Now, you brought up something very interesting because Eddie's very anti-alien, but I felt that you, when we were on with Alex Jones, you brought up extraterrestrial and how that could just mean extra territory. Are you anti-alien, or can you be open-minded to that?
So the answer is that I believe that there are visitors here that aren't from the land that we know as Earth. Okay, I used to think they came from outer space. That makes no sense. They come here over trillions of miles. They get here and they crash in Roswell. Nonsense. Okay. I believe that there are lands that we're unaware of. Are they past the shoreline of Antarctica? Possibly. Are there other worlds outside beyond those mountains of Antarctica? Is there another sun across the Earth plane? I don't know the answers to these, but if you look at the etymology of the word extraterrestrial, extra territory, extra terra, extraterrestrial, they come from the Earth plane. They just come from beyond the snow of Antarctica. In my opinion, there's also swaths of ocean out there that we don't even know what's out there. They're uncharted, extraterrestrial. So is the secret space program, I believe that it's really the secret propulsion program. They're using free energy. They're using, energy from the ether. It's all a scam to keep us as slaves. Believe that you're trapped on a ball. Believe that we're running out of fossil fuels.
But here's the thing, though.
Imagine if we all had access to free energy.
Yeah.
We can grow our food. We have free energy. What do we need anyone else for?
Yeah.
I was going to say, if they're slave masters, they're pretty good ones because life has just progressively gotten better and better and better. I'm pretty happy.
Life is
Everything
fantastic.
is pretty bomb.
A lot of people are happy. I live in a very affluent town. Everyone's happy because they got the system working for them. But the thing is, you don't realize that we are special. We are these great,
I think
powerful
you're special.
beings. We can, you know what? You think right. You have good thoughts in your head, and you're creating the reality that you want. It's people that are like, oh, I'm broke. Well, they're going to be broke. Oh, I'm sick and tired. Yeah, you're going to be sick and tired because you're creating that. The PSYOP, what they don't want you to know is that your thoughts create the reality that you live in.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, I was going to say, actually, I can't believe you said something I agreed with. I'm right there with you on that.
Well, my biggest thing is, Dave, it's like you're bringing up territories. How do we know that's even like any of the planets or any of the continents look like it is? When they say there's 7 billion people, I'm like, how do I know that's real? How do I know any of the information they're putting out
How about this?
is real?
North Korea is not real.
What,
Kim Jong-un, have you ever heard him speak? Kim Jong-un is a mentally retarded guy from an institution that they take out. They put him in front of a green screen and they have him clap like this and smile, right? And that's all you ever see.
Oh my
He doesn't.
God, you're blowing my mind
There's-
now. Well, it's like North Korea
North
says
Korea.
Go on, Dave. Sorry.
North Korea is insane. There's buildings in North Korea from a previous civilization that they don't want us to see. There's videos out there showing them. It's literally everything you know. North Korea with the nukes. There are no nukes. There's none of this.
I'm telling
right?
you, man. It makes
It's
no,
all
no
for
sense.
fear. Because if you're afraid, think that you're nothing, think that you have no power, believe in this nonsense, you've given away your power. You've given away your life. And you think you're happy because you're having a good time. You're a good-looking guy. You're probably doing well with the women. You probably have a good, decent job. Great.
Well.
But there's way more to life than that.
You know what, dude?
But what about phones? We got phones.
Hold on. But Zach, I'm telling you, man, like we have the power and they get us to fight with each other so we don't ever focus on that. And the biggest thing to me that lets me know where the power really resides is all these false flags that they do where it's like, you always hear about 4 men in black military fatigue shooting up places, flying planes in the building. They have to get our consent to do all this. And that's why things like them trying to get us in a war with Iran, like, it's not working because they can't get our consent to do it. And I almost think, what we're talking about, this ABC News thing, that now they're trying to make it so there's no centralized news, that it's decentralized, and we don't get our information from any one place, so we really can't tell what they're doing anymore. That this is just meant to kill it off, but we really had the power. That's why they had to get us so razzled into like, oh my God, we got to take away guns because people are shooting up guns, so we give it to them. Instead of then they can't just take it, man. The whole thing relies on us consenting to them
That's
going
why.
to war.
That's if they didn't need our consent, there'd be no reason to spend all this time on propaganda, taking over the media. There'd be no. They could just do whatever they want.
Which is why people should really separate their politics from their relationships. Like, obviously, I don't agree with Eddie on a lot of these things like flat Earth. I love Eddie to death. He's one of my best friends, one of my favorite people in the world. This man has changed my life in innumerable ways, and on top of that, he's created relationships, friendships, and has people opening up schools around the world, giving them careers. He's done more.
Yeah.
He's going to leave this world leaving
my
it way
life.
better than he found it. And a lot of people can't say that. It's like, hey, when you die, can you say that you left the world's better for having you there? And Eddie can definitely say that. So I always, one thing I think I'm good about is separating politics and this kind of stuff from my relationships with people. And I think a lot of people aren't. I know people that have broken up with people, have had family members they don't talk to anymore. And to me, that's kind of what you were saying. That's the trick they're playing on people, is making everybody divided. And that's what I won't fall into. That's why I would hang out with Dave in a heartbeat and party with him and be like, it's like bust his balls, he can bust my balls. That's cool. I still like Dave because he's, looks like a good guy.
We talk about all the time. I'm not here to just talk to people I agree with. This show is, I'll have everybody on. It's really sad, dude, that Jerry Springer is allowed to have more leeway in guests than a fucking podcast.
Well, look what happens with Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin's a liberal guy, gay man, but just because he's willing to bring in conservatives to have a conversation, people give him a hard time.
Yeah, it's just
It's
ridiculous.
like you're not supposed to have a conversation with
And
people.
the gun situation.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask a question. You said that you don't agree with Eddie and I that the Earth is flat.
No.
Every single question that you've asked us, every objection that you've had, we've given you a satisfactory answer.
I don't believe
that
they're
shows
satisfactory
it works on
answers.
both, or you know what, it doesn't work on a globe.
But I'm not
What do you
satisfied
have?
with the
Can you come up
answers.
with one proof that just give me one reason you believe you live on a globe. Just one.
Pictures.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that. Pictures from the space station that show around Earth. Okay. But see,
They
the
already
problem
admit
is
that they're not
But
real.
when I say that, then the answer is, well, that's not real. And then if I give you another
Well,
one,
but if you look at them, a thinking mind will know they're not real. You don't have to believe us.
Well,
You've never looked at them.
here's where I must
You've never
stick, Dave.
taken the time.
Dave, here's why I'm going to defend Zach on this one.
What?
Zach, no, I'm not saying Zach's right, and I'm not saying anybody's right. You know where I lay on this whole thing.
He's half a baller.
What I will say is he has given proof that he believes is real, just like you guys give proof that you believe is real. So,
sure.
So he has given
But he
that.
hasn't looked.
I will give that. Here's the problem. All the information you gave, I can digest, and not that Zach can't digest it, but
I follow
it's
it.
a lot of information to crunch. What has to be done is, and I want to do it on the show, is let's go out and take Zach when he has a moment and do these experiments to show him, because it's just right now numbers crunching. It's just, here's the thing. You love Eddie. Here's why I'm going to tell you my opinion on Flat Earth. The reason I'm open-minded to it, because Eddie is probably one of my best friends, and we agree on 97, 98% of the stuff. There's things that maybe we don't agree on, like he doesn't, he believes in Flat Earth. Maybe I don't believe that Bill Cosby didn't do it. I mean, I know people out there who say that, but Eddie and I believe in 99% of stuff. So that's why I go, if I believe in all this other stuff, I have to be open-minded that this guy who I trust in all this other stuff might be onto something, and that I can't close my mind to, because it's going against everything that I have been taught. And it's like, listen, dude, when we were young, I don't know if you're in your 40s. I'm in my 40s, dude.
You don't know? That's
we
a
were
thing,
told,
man.
we were
45.
We were told being gay was going to send you to fucking hell. Interracial
true.
dating is the worst thing ever. And weed, if they legalize weed,
Remember
man,
Jungle Fever? What a big deal that movie was?
the world was gonna go, dude. If we legalize weed, people are gonna be fucking dogs in the street. It's like,
I'm with you.
None of it was true.
I'm with you. That's the problem, is they do lie so much.
Okay, so stop right there. Yeah. They do lie so much. Just to stick with
But
that.
they don't always
no.
lie.
I know. Look, if you knew some guy
I know this
who
conversation.
lied
We
all
had
the
this
time.
one. Usually
What
use
it-
the
what-
dirty
even
whore
though-
example.
listen.
She was a dirty whore. And she was fucking.
but you just said they lie all the time. Is it smart?
They
for
lie a
person?
lot.
They lie a lot. Okay, they lie a lot. If Sam, if it was proven that he lies a lot, would it be smart or dumb to, even though he doesn't lie about everything? Even the worst liars.
I would
can't lie.
absolutely
Listen.
double check the work.
Everything.
Yeah, I would
Everything.
I would dig deeper. I wouldn't just. Whereas if somebody that I know is always honest told me something, I'll take shit.
Okay,
That guy.
okay, stop right there.
I'm
Okay,
with
so
you.
we're good. They lie all the time.
A lot.
Therefore, I will double check all their work.
Yes.
Happy.
Okay, do that with The Shape of the Earth.
Pictures.
But I did. I
No, you
watched.
haven't.
I prepared
You didn't
before I
double check
got
it.
here.
You
I
didn't double
watched
check it.
his other interviews with
If you
people.
would double
and-
check flat Earth knowledge, you would know that how big this ball supposedly is. You would know that. You would know how fast it rotates.
I-
You don't even that's the most. That's
I swear
first
to
grade
you.
shit.
I swear
That's
to
first
you
grade
that I
shit.
knew last night, and I was like, I bet they asked me. I'm like, why would they quiz me on this? And I forgot the number. That's how quick I forget
That is
shit.
the easiest shit. If you're going to defend the ball Earth, at least know that it spins about 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, according to them. And according to them, this ball is about 24,000, 25,000 miles in circumference. So there's math where you could calculate the curve. It's already been done. So if you were going to, any guy that would hold on. You know what? I don't even blame. I mean, I don't blame you, man.
If you had
the
Neil
indoctrination's so strong, dude, I understand. That's why I don't even. That's why I rarely argue with anybody about The Shape of the Earth, because the indoctrination is so strong, dude.
So strong.
Oh my God, everything. I have a 7-year-old, and everything is space. Everything he watches, cartoons, space. They just got to get space in there. As long as they get space in there, it doesn't matter who the bad guy is, who the good guy is, what happened to Darth Vader, what happened. It doesn't really matter as long as the backdrop is space and they show balls floating in space. That's all that matters. It doesn't even matter what the plot is. All that matters is that, like, Contact. Or not Contact, Interstellar, Mission to Mars. Oh, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as they're showing balls and there's spaceships. As long as they keep pushing space, that's all that matters.
I also want to say something real quick. Eddie and I have had conversations about how there's people out there that think Bill Cosby didn't do it. Eddie's doesn't think that. I just don't want people to run off crazy. I kind of put that out that, I'm going to do an episode. I have some people from a propaganda report going to come on and tell me that this whole theory that. So I didn't want to miss.
What's the theory that Bill Cosby did not?
There's
not a
people
serial
out
rapist.
there. There's people out there that say that it was a frame job. I'm not my position
I feel like-
and not Eddie's position. I just wanted to say that
Gotcha.
I'm going to do an episode because I'll talk about anything.
Me too. That's the thing is I
I'll
love
talk about
hearing all
anything.
this.
So-
I wouldn't be here if I didn't love listening to all of this stuff. I'm open-minded to hearing all
Zach.
kinds of wackiness. Yes.
Let me give you a quick thought experiment. So we're told that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. It's 24,000 miles around, 1,000 miles per hour, 24 hours to go around. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the biggest circle on that axis of spin. If you're in northern Alaska, you're making a much smaller circle. You're going around once every 24 hours, but you're only going about 300 miles per hour. Okay? You can do the measurements.
Yep,
you
gotcha.
can calculate it yourself.
I hear what
right?
you're saying. Go on.
You're sitting in an airplane on the runway, so in Alaska, so you're only moving at 300 miles per hour. You take off, you fly to the equator, and now you're going to land on a runway that's north-south. It's spinning 1,000 miles per hour sideways. How do you land on it?
I don't know.
You know
Because
how we
you're not
you
part
know,
of the
I'm gonna
gravity
quote,
force.
Taboo Conspiracy on his great Flat Earth Journey video presentation. You know how we
I feel
don't
like
live
this
on a
is
ball?
a religion of
Because
contrarians.
if we did,
You know what,
we'd
Ben?
all
It's
be
very
dead.
interesting when people say that because I've heard that about like 12-step program. It's a religion. It's not a religion. It's just people who think a little different. And
I didn't just say
that
religion.
scares
I said a
people.
religion of contrarians.
Well, you
I
did
feel
say
like-
religion then.
I said, yeah. I'm saying, but the rest of it, though, I'm saying I think it's you guys just really like to be contrarian.
Why? What would we get from that?
What would they get from? But see, we
Ridicule.
covered that.
What would we get from that?
Zach,
I don't
let me
think
ask you a
they would
question.
get
My
anything
girlfriend
from saying
hates
the
when I
Earth is
hiding
round.
flat Earth.
My
Why
mother-
are they hiding it? Why aren't they hiding Bigfoot? Why aren't they hiding Elvis is alive videos? They're hiding flat Earth. If you Google flat Earth right now, you find no videos. You find all propaganda. All of the stuff that you brought up, the
I
sticks and
found
shadows,
plenty
the
of
boats
videos.
over the
I found
horizon.
your interview. I found
Nonsense.
stuff.
It's all hidden. So here's my
They've
challenge
admitted
to
it.
you.
YouTube
Here's my
made
challenge.
announcements. We're going to hide flat Earth
Well,
videos.
YouTube's censorship is unbelievable. I'm
Exactly.
with you on
They're
that.
censoring.
But why are they censoring?
Hey, they're even censoring
If the
people going to the
science
gun
is
range.
finished,
If you
why
go
are
to the
they
gun
cen-
For
range,
gun control, for sure. It makes sense.
fucking unbelievable.
They're censoring 9/11 videos, gun video, pro gun
Anti-vax.
videos,
Shadow banning.
Exactly. Anything. Why are they shadow banning? Why are they flat Earth? If you punch in flat Earth on
Nothing
YouTube,
but-
they give you nothing but videos that disprove flat Earth. Government made films.
no, I found a bunch of.
Nonsense
I found flat
videos.
Earth videos. I found Dave's and some other guys.
Well, if you punch in Dave
Yeah.
Weiss, that'll come
But no,
up.
but I also went looking for, and I found some other things. If you go looking, you can find people like Dave.
No. You don't know. You don't know what you're talking about.
It's national-
YouTube made the announcements.
I
dude.
typed it in.
You're arguing with me. They made. The
Oh no, I'm
announcements.
agreeing. No, I'm not
They
lying.
said we're going to bury this shit.
I'm not disagreeing
They
that they're
said that.
burying it.
Yeah,
No,
they're
no,
burying
no, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay.
I'm saying they buried lots of things. Like I said,
Well, exactly. What are they burying?
But what I'm saying
What are they
is
burying? What-
anything right wing, anything conspiratorial.
Exactly.
No, I'm not
Exactly.
arguing that. All I was saying was you could still find it. I'm saying I was still able to research this. I was still able to go and like dig deep and like.
But that's not the point. The point is that they change their algorithms to bury that shit.
Absolutely.
Yes, just because you could find it doesn't mean they're not shadow.
Oh,
banning.
I know. I'm with you.
So there should be no argument here.
Hey, look at Alex Jones. They
gonna-
banned him. I mean,
Exactly.
But why are they
This is
banning
gonna-
all this stuff? Why is natural remedies getting banned? Well, you realize that because Big Pharmaceutical owns a giant chunk of Google. So you start going through all these different things of why they're banning it, and you can find a deep state reason for it. So then you go to Flat Earth. Why?
Unfortunately, a lot of it, the stuff that drives me nuts, unfortunately, is coming from the extreme left too.
Yeah.
I mean, the political correctness,
The
the
Unabomber
censorship.
was right. The Unabomber was fucking right.
In a nutshell, what did he say?
He basically said that liberalism would be hijacked by the children of the rich and powerful, and they would hijack it, and they would push political correctness onto us. And it's not that they want equality. They just literally feel bad for these people. They look down on these people. So when you see white rich liberals worried about racism, it's not that they care about black people. It's that they actually feel bad for them. Like, look at these poor black. Like, InfoWars you can say whatever you want about InfoWars. They did a great video where they went to Berkeley and they go, why are you against ID voting laws? And they're like, because black people can't get to the internet and they don't have licenses. It's hard for them to get IDs. And then they went to Brooklyn and they found black people. They're like, do you have the internet? They're like, yeah, I got a phone. Do you have an ID? Yeah, I got a driver's license. Because these kids actually they don't feel for them. They don't want them in their life. They just poor fucking black people, poor gay people. They look down on these people. That's what the Unabomber was talking. And everything he said came true.
They also want it both ways. They want to say that they're not racist and that everybody's the same, yet we need more of fill in the blank. You know what I mean? Oh, no, we need more women. Well, if men and women are the same, why are we playing this identity politics? Why? I'm an individualist. That's what I am. I judge people based on what they do individually, and looking at people and saying we need more women just because they're women is just another kind of sexism.
Kamala Harris, who's just throwing fucking Hail Mary passes at this part. It's like, if I get elected, I'm gonna make sure I have tons of transgenders in my government. It's like, okay.
How about getting the best people?
Yeah, it makes no sense. And like, you know who's learned that doesn't work? Fucking Hollywood. When you try to get rid of people who are good at shit and you just start doing this weaponized diversity where you're just shoehorning people in.
Well, because here's the thing, is most people's idea of diversity is people that all look different but think exactly the same way.
Yeah.
And that's not what I think of when I think of diversity.
They're not liberals. They're progressives, and they're pro-war. They're pro-censorship. They're pro all this. They're anti-gun. Guess what? The Second Amendment is a liberal fucking idea. Yeah. The thought that the masses should have guns in case the government gets so out of control they could do something. That's a liberal idea. These fucking rich kids who live behind... Listen, man, do you know why political correctness is such a big issue? Because rich kids has hijacked liberalism. And the only thing that they feel real-world consequences is fucking words. Emotions are the only thing that can affect them now. They'll never be affected by war. They never get affected by crime. From the moment they're born, their fucking food, shelter, and clothing is all taken care of. They go to the best schools. They go to the richest colleges. They go to the fucking most private bars, private nightclubs. They get juiced into gigs. They're never gonna fucking feel any real consequences except for words. That's why emotions hit them so, it's the only thing they feel.
There's this great Charles Bukowski poem where he describes walking down the street and seeing a mannequin in a window, and he decides to take a picture of it with his camera, and the woman in the store comes out and gets all upset with him just for taking the picture, like there's something wrong with it. And he has this great description about how he kneels and shoots again, like, using the camera like it's a gun. And she's just losing her shit that he's taking photos. And Charles Bukowski's final line is, the problem with these people is their cities have never been bombed and their mothers have never been told to shut up.
Yep. Yep. Do you have any more flat earth questions?
No, he was able to bullshit
through. Hold on,
Dave,
before you start. Okay, go on. We're not going to end it because go on.
No, I just want to say, so you say the one proof that you have is the video from the space shuttle, or from the International Space Station. First, keep in mind that the International Space Station is the biggest technological achievement ever done, where they put together this modules and solar panels and everything, traveling at 17,500 miles per hour. Nobody died. There's no video of it. There's no pictures of it. There's nothing. It just appeared up there, and they go, oh, yeah, we built it. Okay? They didn't even tell us when they were launching 99% of it. It's just a total fictional thing. So here's the challenge. You won't do it, but I'll put it out there to anybody. Go online. There's a whole bunch of space station live streams that aren't live. Watch that. Take a clip. Take any 1-minute clip that you think is real. Send it to me, and I'll show you, not my belief, I'll prove to you that it's complete and total bullshit. All right? So there's your proof. You're just believing that you think that there's footage, but you haven't really looked at it. My challenge to you and every listener, real quick, is I made an app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. And I made this to wake people up because of YouTube censorship. Get the app every day. The app shows you how it works. It's got time lapse. It does everything. It shows you seasons. It has frequently asked questions. So all of the questions that you ask are in the frequently asked questions. You click it. It brings you to a playlist of all the videos that'll describe all the stuff that I told you. They're all in there. And then every day I serve up on it a new video, something new, could be something old, but something that's topical. Short videos during the week, long ones on the weekend. I just challenge everybody, get the app, play with it for a little bit. Every day you'll just get one push notification to go, today, circumnavigation, how it's impossible on a globe or whatever. And you just watch that one video a day for 2 weeks. This is what happens. If you go the 2 weeks, you'll end up realize you'll be a ball denier, at least, if you're not a full-on flat earther. What most people do, they can't wait. They go right into the video archive and they binge watch. Bring food and water, everybody, when you start doing that, because you're not going to leave. And then you'll see it. All of the stuff is there. Anybody that looks will be here. I was you making fun of people, with the same attitude you had.
too.
That was me
I did
5,
the
6
same
years
fucking
ago.
thing. I had a couple guys in class that, like Manny, he was like, "You ever look into flat Earth?" It's like, dude, I'm gonna punch
up.
you. Dude. Shut the. I felt like I lost a soldier. I'm like, oh my god, I can never trust anything this motherfucking guy says. And then Ernest said it again. Ernest, he goes, "Hey, you ever look into flat Earth?" I'm like, oh my god. I want to choke this motherfucker, literally, not rear naked.
It's
either.
all there on the app.
You know what I mean?
It's all there on
so
the
we
app.
we
Flat
started
Earth, Sun,
battling.
Moon, and Zodiac Clock
And then
app.
as we were battling, we were sending each other stuff. I'm like, I have an iPhone with a picture of the Earth. I look at it every goddamn day. You're gonna tell me it's not a ball? And then once I started looking into it, you go to Google and punch in pictures of Earth from space, and you'll see nothing but CGI.
What about
can you bring
those
up
videos,
photos of Antarctica from space?
What about the video?
Pull that up.
I've seen videos on YouTube where
Photos
people
of
take
Antarctica from
they
space.
take
You're
a
gonna
weather
laugh at this.
Where they take a weather balloon and they attach a camera to it.
Yeah, they go.
And
It
they
goes
say-
up 120,000 feet up,
And you
it's
see the
flat.
curvature of
No,
the
no,
Earth.
it's flat. There is no
No,
curvature.
no.
It's flat. That's why Tyson
Only at a
Neil
fisheye lens.
deGrasse Tyson, because there's a million videos of balloons. They only can go up 120,000 miles, 120,000 feet. A plane goes up 35,000. So the balloon goes up 120,000. So there's all these cameras, and it's all flat. So they asked Neil deGrasse Tyson, like, how explain this? How come it's flat at 120,000 feet? And everyone's claiming they see the curvature at 35,000 feet. Pilots even say it. And then you can watch the video. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he says, at 120,000 feet, that's still not high enough to see any curve. At 120,000 feet, it's flat. That's why you don't see any curve with these amateur balloons. Because at 120,000 miles, it's still not high enough to see any curve.
1,000 feet.
He says it. He's Mr.
He's
Science guy.
controlled about all
much
that
pussy is
weird.
that guy
Keep on
getting?
moving.
Well,
They
apparently he
move
tried
the
to take
goalpost.
some
Every time
without-
we bust their
allegedly.
theories, with
yeah, I forgot about
science,
that.
with actual science, they move the goalpost.
Yep. Hey, Aaron, you are a baller.
Oh, thank God.
What are your
There's
thoughts, dude?
somebody else here that went to school.
Hey, Ron, you gotta be deaf, blind, or mute.
Honey.
Hey, Ron, you done fucked up. Hey, Ron. Aaron, thoughts?
I've just been beaten into not giving a fuck anymore. I just work here, man.
Just working. That was your last hope, dog. That was your last.
That's kinda how
when you
I-
say,
yeah.
and the people say, did you go to school? School, what is school? The Rockefellers fund the books. They make them so cheap that nobody with the real textbooks can afford to sell it to a school. And they teach you the crap that
Hey,
keeps
man,
you a
I'm not
perfect
gonna
little slave.
argue that
and
the
the people
school
that
system
can
is good.
that can memorize and regurgitate it the best become the teachers and the professors.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
it.
No, I agree with you
Yes!
on that.
That is what school's all about, man. I've learned that out here. There's a difference between book smart and street smart. Book smart means you recognize systems and you know how to do it. And believe it or not, grammar is just recognizing systems, okay? And that's why all these guys who can write the most amazing scripts are just street stupid because they don't understand people. but they understand systems, and that's who gets the stars in school. And then people like me who just don't give a fuck about your rules have to sit in fucking timeout for the entire 4th grade because Miss Bacon thought I didn't like my attitude. Fuck you, Miss Bacon. Fuck you. But both my parents are teachers, and I love them, and I don't hate teachers because they're just doing the system that they are told. And if they don't do that system, they get fucking pounded or fired or all that shit. So that's my thought. Does anyone have any more flat earth questions for Dave?
Do you know what the Coriolis effect is? You know what that is?
I forget.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been too many years since school.
All right. That's it.
All right, Dave. Dave, tell them where your podcast is and where they can find everything.
You can find everything at theflatearthpodcast.com. You can go to our Facebook page, The Flat Earth Podcast, and then my YouTube channel. I basically am the crack dealer. I just give small little videos for people that, if you're a baller, you're not going to want to watch a 2-hour video. So my videos most of them are under 5 minutes. And the YouTube channel is DITRH, which is the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Check that out. The videos on the Flat Earth Podcast Facebook page are there. Or if you really want to, get into it, download the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app on Google and Apple.
All right, Zach, tell them where you are and where they can find you.
I was Googling the Coriolis effect. I remembered that from school, and I couldn't remember exactly what it was. You could tell me.
Nonsense.
It's nonsense.
Well, yeah, it's nonsense. Oh, well, okay, let me ask you this. If mainstream science tells us that we live on a ball that spins at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. Now, if the Coriolis effect is it was invented by a guy named Coriolis. He said that if we live on a ball that's spinning 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, then snipers need to account for that spin.
Right.
Right? So there's supposedly this mythical Coriolis effect that snipers need to they need to account for it, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because if the
I know
world
about
is spinning,
this,
yeah, right.
They do the
So, if you wanted to calculate the motion of a missile, would the Coriolis effect be included in that How important would the Coriolis effect be?
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume it's important.
Super important,
I would
right?
assume so.
If we're trying to calculate the speed of a missile, the trajectory of a missile, right? We would have to
If it affects a bullet, I figured it affects a missile.
Of course.
You would think.
Yeah, and not only is the ball spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, which we need to account for that if we're calculating motion of missiles and high altitude aircrafts, but it's also curved too. So we have to account for the curve. So the formula, the Coriolis, the mythical Coriolis effect, the formula does that. It's if you have to calculate because the Earth is spinning from west to east, according to them, or east to west. What is it?
West to east.
West to east, right?
West to east.
So
Sun sets in the west.
The opposite of rotating is non-rotating, right?
Sure.
Okay. The opposite of a ball is a flat surface, right?
Sure.
That's the opposite, right? Crazy tinfoil. One of the craziest tinfoil hat conspiracies ever is that we live on a flat plane, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Right? For sure, right?
Yeah.
You agree with that. Okay, so Rob Skiba, who's a flat earth researcher, he put out a video. He went through all these declassified NASA documents and CIA documents and US military documents that had nothing to do with the shape of the earth or space or all these documents, these top secret documents that were declassified were all about calculating the motion of missiles and high altitude aircraft. There's a bunch of them. Rob Skiba just he goes to the website, he goes to the NASA website and he goes, look, boom. And he's going through all these pages all about missiles and how fast they go and the trajectory and all that shit. And then when you get to the formula of how to calculate all there's at least 10 or 15 of these documents that were released, all of them. The first number one rule of the formula is to get these numbers right. And do you think the numbers have to be accurate if you're trying to calculate? It has to be super accurate, right? So that Coriolis effect, the fact that the ball is rotating 1,000 miles an hour and it's curved, you have that to get the right numbers. You would have to factor that in, right? Well, all of them say the number one rule is you have to assume that we're on a flat, non-rotating Earth. Word for word. You have to assume that we're on a flat, non-rotating Earth. Has nothing to do with flat Earth documents or
FAA manual says
all
the
of them.
same thing.
All of them. The only way you're going to get the right answers, because they're not arguing about, like, if they don't get the right answers, we got this formula, we have to figure out the motion of missiles. That shit has to be right. In the military, it has to
Eddie,
be fucking right. So
you
wait a
never
minute.
even thought
So what are
about
the odds?
this.
So hold on. What are the odds that to get the numbers right when calculating the motion of missiles, what are the odds that you have to assume that we live on this crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy flat Earth that's non-rotating? To get the right numbers, you have to pretend that we live on this tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. The opposite. In order to get the numbers right, you have to calculate the opposite of the reality that they're trying to shove down our throats. To get the numbers right, we have to be on a flat, non-rotating Earth. What's the opposite of rotating? Non-rotating. What's the opposite of a ball? A flat. So to calculate the numbers, to get them right, or they're going to be fired. They're going to get the numbers wrong. They got missiles. They got the calculations have to be precise. You have to assume that we live on a tinfoil hat, crazy conspiracy theory.
Eddie,
Think about
how about
that.
the
Think
sniper?
about that.
Think about this. If a sniper has to account for Coriolis, when he's looking, he has to move the gun way to the left or to the right of the
another guy
target
that didn't take
and
an
aim
improv
at
class.
nothing, which no sniper ever does.
Right.
Exactly. And you know what? You know what snipers, it's funny. I have a friend who's a sniper. He worked for Blackwater, Marine sniper, legit sniper. So when the Coriolis effect argument came up, I called him up. And you know him. I called him up and I said, hey, is the Coriolis effect real? And because he wanted to appear that he knew what he was talking about, because he heard about the Coriolis effect. He goes, oh yeah, the Coriolis effect is real. It's real. I go, it's real? I go, so if you were going to snipe somebody right now, you would know how to calculate that? You know what he said? He went, I would have to go back into the books and figure it out. but it's real. I go, wait a minute. So you're not a sniper until you go back and figure this thing out? So it turns out no snipers use the Coriolis effect. They don't. He finally admitted it. He never has. I go, when you're practicing shooting targets at a long range, you actually doing some mathematical fucking Coriolis effect? No, but what happens when you look into it, like there's a manual. There's a manual when you enter the armed forces, and it's like it's probably a chapter. They go, you know what? Because the guy who invented the Coriolis effect, he wasn't trying to deceive anybody. He was just saying, wait a minute, if we're rotating at 1,000 miles an hour, there must be an effect, so we have to account for that. So he didn't really know. If we were on a ball rotating 1,000 miles an hour, there would be a Coriolis effect. But since there's not, there isn't. So it's all bullshit. Document after document, declassified NASA. In the same video, there's a CIA declassified document that they're looking into what the Russians are doing, and the report was the Russians are still they were trying to figure out the shape of the Earth. They're still trying to figure out. In 1940 something, the Russians were still trying to figure out. They were sending.
What about that encyclopedia video that came out where the guy in the Encyclopedia Britannica, where it basically says that there's a dome at
Antarctica, 13,000 feet.
Yeah, explain that, Dave.
That was on the app the other day in the 1958 or 1960,
1958.
whatever.
It was 1958. It's Britannia.
Encyclopedia Britannica, talking about Antarctica, and it talks about a dome ceiling at 13,000 feet at 80 degrees south latitude or whatever the number is. And it's right there. So knowing that we've lived on a on a ball Earth for 500 years, nonsense. In the early 1900s, everybody knew that we lived on a flat Earth. Everybody. There's articles in the New York Times. I think I forget what paper. Don't quote me on that. In the April of 1900, of a teacher trying to teach heliocentrism in school and being persecuted for it.
Good. You know, man.
What about all the books that were written on the flat Earth, like at the turn of the century? Like Samuel Rowbotham, and there's a bunch of them, right? Name some.
There's a whole there's books. There's so many books on it. The thing is, Nobody should just believe any of this. You got to go and look at it. And the other thing is, people say, where'd you learn that? On YouTube? YouTube is just a hosting site for
But
information.
here's the thing.
Okay?
You've got to believe in something, right?
Hold on. Finish what YouTube is. This is a very good point. When people talk shit on YouTube, people that talk shit on YouTube, they have YouTube channels. They have YouTube. You're like, you believe in YouTube? I'm like, dude, you're on YouTube. The fuck are you talking about?
YouTube is like life. It has everything there. You have to sort out the information. There's nonsense on YouTube, or there's people that have documented experiments, scientific experiments, very well, that basically would take you thousands of dollars and who knows how much time. They've put it into a video for you so you can see it. It's not questionable. It's not CGI. It's just a place that hosts information for you. Somebody says, if your car's broken, you don't go on YouTube. You go to the dealer. Or if you're sick, you go to a doctor. Absolutely not. If I actually do go to a dealer because I'm lazy. I'm Jewish, but I don't fix cars. But
I was
a lot of
going to
people
say, no
just go
Jew
to YouTube,
knows how
figure
to
out
work on his
fix it.
car.
But if I'm sick, I go on YouTube on the internet and find the cure, because I don't believe the allopathic medicine the doctor gives you is nonsense. There's way better cures, and you can find them on YouTube. So God bless YouTube, even though they're censoring us.
Well, been fun, man. I don't know if we changed your mind.
No,
What I still believe Tower 7 fell because it got too high.
Okay.
It's a cell phone.
He's still there.
White belt.
So
You're
that's why
Tower 6, dude?
we got a tour
What
coming
about
up.
Tower 6? That's
Nobody.
the smoking
This
gun.
is why I think Tower 7 is a psyop done on. I know you say it all the time. They put out information just to get us a fight, because nobody ever talks Tower 6. They only talk Tower 7.
And you know what? There's like 5 or 6 different camera angles of Tower 7 going down. You know what I mean?
This is why you guys need me on your tour as the opener.
Why?
See, because you guys are all conspiracy minded. You need one guy on the show that.
Why? So you can get booed?
Why is your whole audience? They're all flat.
Yeah. They're not all flat earthers, no,
But they're
but
all open-minded.
They're all Tower 7 and above.
I'm open minded.
They're all
You
Tower
and
7
Aaron
and
should
over.
do a tour called We Don't Believe Shit. Why doesn't anyone like us?
I'm open minded, but I'll take on your crowd. No, here's the thing: is I don't think there's anything wrong with getting information from anywhere. You can get valid info from. I never brought that up. That was something you brought up.
literally get your
I
information
did.
from liars, dude. Golf a tonk, and we can go on forever. Like, dude,
I agree. I know they lie. I know.
So you gotta
Well,
you gotta
my-
be suspicious of all their shit.
So my point is that
You believe pictures from space, even though they admit that the pictures are fake.
Yeah,
You look
they
at the
say
continents
it.
are different sizes, so they're faking one, they're faking all of them. Now you believe that the video from the space station that was built that nobody ever saw has all the wires on the outside, just like a submarine.
The space
right?
station goes 17,000 miles an hour. That's
it's
ridiculous.
Nonsense.
Think about that.
There's no doors.
You can
there's
look
no
that.
maintenance up
Look it
there.
up on Google. How fast does the International Space Station fly? 17,000 miles an hour. Not 1,000 miles an hour. Not 8,000 miles an hour, which is mind-boggling. Not 12,000 miles an hour. Not 15. 17 motherfucking
built
thousand.
it.
And they dock
And it
on this
still works.
motherfucker. They dock. They like supposedly switching out astronauts and supplies.
it's amazing
Get the
what science
fuck
has
outta here.
accomplished.
And they never. There's no
And if you
footage.
watch-
There's no
if you
footage
watch,
of it
if
ever
you go
being
to the
built.
NASA
It just
host
happened.
on the
When do I get to
if
do
you
my
go if
plug?
you go to the hold on a second. If you go to the NASA fakery video playlist on the app, or just go to my channel anywhere, there's so many. Recently, an astronaut was fixing something in the bathroom, and he dropped a screw, and guess what happened? It
dropped.
fell to the floor, and he picked it up.
Yeah, what about like I forget someone had a gumball machine and all the gumballs were hanging at the bottom of the gumball machine on there? It was like some weird thing. Or how about the fact that Elon Musk fucking was like, oh, we put this car in space, and like they cut to the thing too quick, and it was in a sound stage, and then it was a bright light, and then suddenly they were in space. I mean, like, dude.
Yeah.
It's great. Give your plug.
Yeah, that's what I'm really here for.